Now we move into tier two, and these are guys who I think are QB1 capable, but they do have some questions and they do have a moderate floor. So they can have some stinker games that can really cost you, or they also have risk of injury. And the guys I have here are Lamar, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, and I did have Trevor Lawrence in this tier based on last year. I do think that he could potentially move himself into tier 1.5 or 1. But here's my issues with these my things I love about these guys and the guys that I have issues with.
Mhm.
Lamar is a QB1 when he's healthy. And when he is not only the most exciting person on the screen, but he's also the most exciting person on your fantasy team because he's going to get you 40 points. He's going to rush for 100 yards. He's going to throw for 4 touchdowns. He's electric. But last 2 years, he's missed 10 games. That's not good for your fantasy team, especially when the injuries come week 13, week 14, right towards fantasy football playoffs. Can really bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I think, is a younger, healthier Lamar Jackson. He's going to have an exceptional season. Rushed for 1,000 yards last year. Finished as QB6, which many people are surprised by. He was QB2 for the last 7 weeks of the season. He was fantastic. But questions with him. He's got DJ Moore coming into the mix. He finally has some decent weapons. However, what is his passing capabilities? Are they going to have negative game scripts? Can he overcome some of his passing deficiencies he's had the first 2 years? Justin Herbert. Last year, he was the checkdown king. Justin Herbert should not be the checkdown king. He has a great arm.
No.
He's got Kellen Moore, so I think that this will help. But just there was points in this last year where he just was a very average fantasy football player. He finished as the QB 11 last year. And so with his draft rankings, people are going to have him in like the 6 or 7 range. I don't know if he's going to perform his ADP. So I have questions here. And then Trevor Lawrence, there's like 3 or 4 games a year where he has an absolute just stinker of a game. He had it for the first half against the Chargers in the playoff game. Interceptions are what can worry me with Trevor. Can be a little sloppy. I do think he's refining his game, which is why last year I think he was QB 5. But those are the guys, moderate floor, high ceiling.
Yeah, I agree with some of those. Lamar Jackson has definitely scarred me in the past, so he's not going to be showing up in my tier 2 because I've had Lamar and he's gotten hurt. And then I was going to put him in the 2 just because he has such a high ceiling, but he has such a bust. He has such a low floor on Lamar Jackson because he could miss half the season. So I was debating whether or not I want to put him in my tier 2. Then I decided to listen to Eminem, and I decided I was stronger than I was, and I wanted to take a stand. And I'm not going to have Lamar Jackson in my tier 2. So starting out my tier 2, I have Jared Goff, who was QB 10 last year. I think in this Lions offense, he's continued to grow and get better year in and year out. Now they've added another running back. I think that's going to take some pressure off him. Their defense creates offense. What does that mean? CJ Gardner-Johnson led the NFL in interceptions last year, and that's going to give the Lions more possessions, more opportunities for Jared Goff, more opportunities for that offense to really roar and grow. Lions Nation, let's roar. At number 2 in my tier 2, I have Justin Fields. Justin Fields last year had his best year as a pro. Number 6, struggled with injuries, but decided at one point versus the Patriots on Monday Night Football, I am not going to suck anymore. And I love that mentality from him. Added some receivers in DJ Moore, still have Cole Kmet, one of the best tight ends in NFL history, and you have Chase Claypool. So let's move to the next one. I still have Geno Smith in here. I think Geno Smith, you added Jackson Smith and Jigba. He loves DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf loves Geno Smith. And then you have Kenneth Walker. Huge upgrades on defense. I mean, you knocked it out of the park in free agency. You knocked it out of the park in the draft. You bolstered the offensive line. I think Geno Smith being a fluke. I mean, these are the same people saying Geno Smith's year was a fluke that were like, oh, the Bengals making the Super Bowl was just a fluke. They're not going to make the playoffs next year. Like, stop it. Stop it. I can't even say on camera what I think about those people. So Geno Smith, not a fluke, at 5, has the potential to still keep moving up. And then Mr. Old Reliable at 1 o'clock. We still have 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins in tier 2 because, well, he does have some bad games at 1 o'clock. Kirk Cousins still has some of the best stats in NFL history. Week in and week out, he's making incredible plays to Justin Jefferson. He went to Buffalo and he's like, I did that. I was Kirk 5 chains on the plane. I'm still that dude. I still have Justin Jefferson on my team. And also, we drafted a new wide receiver in Minneapolis this year. Vikings, pretty good track record with drafting wide receivers, so I think their offense will still be dynamic. It's just that defense I just don't trust, and I don't think they're going to be very good at running the ball, and they're going to have to throw themselves back into a lot of games. So that's why I have Kirk Cousins still in my tier 2. And then I still have to respect Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers is still that dude. He's still the man. He's going to be going to New York. He wants to prove himself and he wants to win in New York. So I'm still going to go with Aaron Rodgers in my tier 2. He can have some stinkers, but he's still a MVP caliber player. So I'm going to have him in my tier 2. And then rounding out at the bottom is going to be Justin Herbert there. He's one of those guys where you can wait and he's still a great option. All the tier 2 guys are someone who you can probably get in around 6, 7, or 8. And if you get towards the bottom of that, it's still fine, because the difference between 12 and 15 points where you can get from Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff, in some weeks it's like it's going to be fairly marginal with this tier. So I feel like the consistency in tier 2 is lacking compared to tier 1, but you can still have some incredible games from all of these guys. So rounding it out, Justin Herbert.